Today we're gonna discuss about spectacles. What are the diseases which the specs are used for? What is the duty of the specs? How to choose suitable specs for each disease in each person? And so on are the facts we're gonna discuss about today. If you stay with this video until the end, you'll surely gain a good scientific knowledge about spectacles. Come and enjoy Art Science, which touches the artistic places of science and makes people informed. It's perfectly good if you've watched our videos on what are images and refraction and lenses before watching this. But don't mind if you haven't yet, watch them just after this. No problem. Well, let's turn towards today's topic. First of all, we should consider how a man gains vision. This is a cross-section of the human eye. The light rays get into the eye through this hole called pupil. Having refracted by the eye lens, they land on the retina. The retina is made of millions of light-sensitive cells. They sense the image of the seen object, and that signal is carried to the brain through the optical nerve. The frequency of each light ray decides the color we recognize at the particular point on the seen object which that very ray is refracted from. The most important part of the eye is the lens. It consists of a number of layers which own different refractive indices. By loosening and contracting the adjoining muscles, it can change its curvature, and through this execution its focal length varies occasionally. When we observe things situated far away from us, it loosens these muscles, and its focal length becomes maximum. When we observe things situated closer to us, it contracts the muscles, and its focal length gets a minimum value. The most distant point we can clearly see when we've loosed the eye muscles is called the far point. The closest point we can clearly see when we've contracted the eye muscles as much as possible is called the near point. These near point and far point differ from one eye to another. The usual near point of a healthy person is 25 centimeters. In calculations related to optics, we use infinity as the far point of a healthy person. If an eye is unable to move its muscles properly, some visual defects can take place. The most common visual defects are the longsightedness and the shortsightedness. But some people experience some other visual defects called presbyopia, astigmatism, cataracts and glaucoma. Before discussing about these defects, I'd like to give you a good knowledge about the power of a lens. When considered only the scale of the masses, it's defined as P equals 1 over F. Here F is the focal length of the lens. We standardly consider that the power of a convex lens is positive, although its focal length is negative. And as well, the power of a concave lens is negative even when its focal length is positive. Then let's inquire what the idea given by the power about a lens is. According to the formula P equals 1 over F, the smaller the focal length, the greater the scale of the power. As well, according to these ray diagrams, the smaller the focal length, the greater how much the light ray bends in. So the power provides this type of an idea. That's how large the ability of a lens to bend a light ray is. So if you want to get a light ray bent in a larger amount, you have to take a lens which owns a large power, and as well as a small focal length. The eye lens is a convex lens, and it has a positive power. It always refracts light inside the principal axis. What's short-sightedness, also called as myopia? If one can't clearly see very distant objects, that's short-sightedness. The light rays that come to an eye from a very distant area are very approximately parallel. Some eyes can't loose its muscles properly, and so that their focal length won't become large enough to make the image right on the retina. Also here, the power of the lens is too big, and it refracts the light rays more than the necessary amount. These patients see closer things very clearly, and that's why this disease is called as short-sightedness. Then what's long-sightedness, also called as hyperopia? This is extremely got the opposite aspects of the short-sightedness. Some eyes are unable to contract its muscles properly, so their power isn't large enough to refract the rays inside the principal axis sufficiently. Then the rays meet one another behind the retina, so this guy can't clearly see the closer objects. The focal length of this lens is too big than wanted even when he's contracted the eye muscles as much as possible. Before referring into the other uncommon defects, I need find out what remedies suitable for these common diseases we discussed. The most common remedy is to wear specs. We can't use same spectacles for every defect. So let's see how to choose correct spectacles for each defect. What we wear is specs or lenses. Then the light rays will be refracted by combined lenses. One is the natural eye lens. The other one is the outer spec lens. Then let's consider about combined lenses. Observe this ray diagram. The first lens refracts the ray comes from A, as to go to B. The second lens refracts the ray going to B, as to go to C. So the object for the second lens is point B. We call it as a virtual object. A virtual object is an object which doesn't really exist and doesn't release real light rays, but seems to be existing according to the behavior of the light rays. An image is also something like that. Often an image created by one lens acts as a virtual object to another lens. If you want to come to know further details about virtual objects and virtual images, please watch our video on what are images. In the refraction in lenses video I did previously, I brought you a clear explanation about the lens formula and how to prove it. Then I'm gonna engage the lens formula here for each lens. There we've got to use the standard notation about lenses. That is, the distances measured through the direction of light traveling are considered negative. And in contrary, the distances measured through the opposite side are considered positive. Lens formula for lens number 1. 1 over negative V1 minus 1 over U1 equals 1 over negative F1. Multiply the whole equation by negative 1. 1 over V1 plus 1 over U1 equals 1 over F1. Change the terms. It's 1 over V1 equals 1 over F1 minus 1 over U1. Lens formula for lens number 2. 1 over negative V2 minus 1 over negative V1 equals 1 over negative F2. Multiply the whole equation by negative 1 just like before. 1 over V2 minus 1 over V1 equals 1 over F2. Change the terms again. It's 1 over V1 equals 1 over V2 minus 1 over F2. From each equation, 1 over F1 minus 1 over U1 equals 1 over V2 minus 1 over F2. Then we can have 1 over V2 plus 1 over U1 equals 1 over F1 plus 1 over F2. By the system of the lenses, the ray coming from A is refracted as to go to C. So let's engage the lens formula for the system. 1 over negative V2 minus 1 over U1 equals 1 over negative F. Multiply the whole by negative 1. 1 over V2 plus 1 over U1 equals 1 over F. F is the focal length of the combination of lenses. From these two equations, 1 over F equals 1 over F1 plus 1 over F2. As power is defined as P equals 1 over F, P equals P1 plus P2. So when two lenses get combined, their powers can be added together to have the resultant power of the system. In this process, when two convex lenses get combined, the scales of their power are added together. Since a concave lens bends a ray outside the principal axis, its power is a negative value. So when a convex lens and a concave lens get combined, the scales of power should be subtracted. The power of an eye lens with the long-sightedness is less than wanted. So we can use a convex lens with a positive power and increase the total power. Then the light rays will refract properly and meet right on the retina. The power of an eye lens with the short-sightedness is more than wanted. So we can engage a concave lens. It has a negative power and will decrease the total power. Then the light rays will bend less than now and meet right on the retina to make a clear image. The suitable power and focal length of the lens which is gonna be used can be calculated using the above formulas. Then let's turn towards the uncommon visual defects. Presbyopia comes when someone gets older. When someone passes the age of like 40, the eye muscles get weaker and the contraction won't properly work. So it comes to a situation just like the long-sightedness. Then we can wear spectacles with convex lenses to recover from this defect. Another defect is astigmatism. This is caused by a fluctuation of the cornea of an eye. Not only the eye lens, but also the cornea contributes to the refraction of light by an eye. So light rays don't all come to a single focal point on the retina. Then the refraction becomes improper, and so that the person happens to see the things with their denaturized. There's a special type of spectacles with spherical cylindrical lenses as remedies for this visual defect. Cataracts is another visual defect. This is a clouding over the eye and makes unclear blurred images. This is caused by the dying cells around the eye lens. Glaucoma is a very dangerous visual defect. This is caused by increased pressure called intraocular pressure of the fluid aqueous humor. This can damage the optic nerve and the retinal fibers and result permanent loss of vision. Okay, that's all for today. To summarize today's lesson, the power of a lens plays an important role of choosing appropriate spectacle lenses for visual patients. And the power of a lens remains the idea about how much a lens is able to bend a light ray. Thank you for watching this video. If you gained something from this video, don't miss to like it and share it. Subscribe my YouTube channel for more video like this. Click the bell icon for getting a notification about my channel. See you again.